Let me start with a confession. 10 years ago, I checked my bank account and saw $37.42. It was the 19th of the month. Payday was still 11 days away. In the fridge, there was half a loaf of bread, 2 eggs, and a jar of pickles I didn't even remember buying. I kept staring at my phone like the number was somehow going to change if I looked at it long enough. Of course it didn't. And now I'm telling you this from a very different place, sitting in a comfortable chair, a rising chart behind me, a tablet in my hand. But let me be clear from the beginning. I didn't win the lottery. No rich relative left me an inheritance. And there was no secret crypto miracle in this story. What actually happened was less dramatic, but much more real. And it all started on the night I had only $37.42 left. That night, I was sitting there with my pay stub in my hand. My salary wasn't even that bad. I had actually gotten a raise that year. But the month I got that raise, I didn't become happier. I just upgraded into a slightly more expensive life. My car got a little bigger. My phone got upgraded. Eating out became a little more frequent. My income went up. My peace of mind didn't. And that night, over my cold coffee, I asked myself a question I had never really asked before. Am I actually making money, or am I just selling my time over and over again? Deep down, I already knew the answer. I just didn't want to say it out loud. From 8 in the morning until 5 in the evening, sometimes even later, I was giving away the best hours of my life. The evenings I could have spent with my family. The energy I could have used for the things I loved. And in return, the same paycheck hit my account every month. No matter how well I performed, no matter how much value I created, the system kept telling me the same thing. This is all you get this month. My income had an invisible ceiling, and for years I'd been banging my head against it, trying to climb higher. Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to attack salaries. A steady income is valuable, especially when you have a roof over your head, bills to pay, and a family to take care of. I had all of that too. But that night, I understood something. My salary was my only lifeline, and no matter how strong it was, it kept me at the same height. It was a safe cage. And the worst part was this. The door was locked from the inside. The key had been in my pocket for years. I was just too afraid to look at it. At first, I pushed harder in the wrong direction. I told myself, I just need to earn more. So I stayed late. I thought about second jobs. I gave up weekends. I got more tired, but I didn't really move forward, because the problem wasn't only how much I earned. The problem was that I had no idea how the money I earned kept slipping through my fingers. One evening, I sat down and wrote out exactly where my money had gone over the past month. One line at a time. That list was one of the most uncomfortable things I'd ever looked at. The coffees I bought every morning. 3 subscriptions I had completely forgotten about. The small things I kept buying while telling myself, it's not a big deal. One by one, they looked harmless, but added up, they were almost half my paycheck. That list is where the real change began. I stopped trying to look rich. First, I tried to be honest. I split my income into 3 parts. 1 part for essential expenses, 1 part for the future, money I wouldn't touch, and 1 part for enjoyment, so I wouldn't turn my life into a prison. Because I learned something simple. If you only cut back and save, without ever living, sooner or later you break. But if you only spend and forget about tomorrow, sooner or later you hit a wall. Balance was the quiet rule nobody had ever taught me. The amount I set aside at first was almost laughable, so small that a voice inside me mocked me. You really think this tiny amount is going to save you? And I answered, yes, Because it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. It's like the gym. If you try to lift the heaviest weight on your first day, you'll hurt yourself. You start light. Then the muscle grows. So I started training my money muscle with small amounts. Months passed. That tiny amount became a habit. And over time, that habit turned into a number that actually meant something. Then I noticed one of my deepest patterns. I was a "what if it doesn't work" kind of person. Every time an idea came to me, my mind immediately placed an obstacle in front of it. Too many people are already doing this. Am I really going to learn this at my age? What if I fail? For years, I thought this mindset was protecting me, but it wasn't. It was keeping me stuck in the exact same place. So I started changing the way I looked at things. If many people are doing this, maybe that means there's demand. If I don't know something, I can learn it. If there's risk, I don't have to jump blindly. I can understand it first. Those sentences didn't make me wealthy overnight, but they gave me back something I had lost for years, a sense of control. Because you can't control the economy, the market, or other people's decisions, but you can control what you learn, where your time goes, and how you manage your money. And there was one more thing I finally understood. For years, I had been moving forward, using only my own labor. But my labor was limited. There are only 24 hours in a day. Energy, health, attention, they all run out. So one question kept coming back to me. How do I build something that keeps creating value even when I'm not there? In other words, I had to stop only working for money and start building something that could eventually work for me. I didn't find the answer in one night. First, I tried a small side hustle. It didn't work. Then I started learning a skill. That helped. Then I tried to turn something I made once into something that could create value again and again. And when it came to investing, I didn't rush. I started small and spread it out over time. One by one, they were small steps, just like my small expenses in the beginning. But stacked on top of each other, they began to grow into a system that kept creating value even when I wasn't standing over it. That's what opened the door for me. Not a one-time win, not a sudden miracle, but the system I slowly built. First, I worked for that system. Then, after a while, that system started to lighten the weight on my shoulders. Years passed. One morning, I woke up, took my coffee, stepped onto the balcony, and realized something. The reason I was going to work that day was no longer only obligation. I had a few more choices. And in that moment, I realized something more valuable than the number in my bank account. My options were increasing. I could say no to things I didn't want. I could spend more time with my family. When a crisis came, I didn't fall apart as easily. I was no longer making every decision out of fear. For me, wealth wasn't just about big numbers. Wealth was having more options, more freedom inside my own life. My finances improved too. But the real change was the feeling that I finally had control over my life. And let me be honest, when my money grew, I didn't become a different person. Money doesn't really change people. It magnifies what's already there. So I had to grow not only my bank account, but the character that could carry it. And I wasn't born with any of this. I learned it along the way. When I look back now, the night I had only $37.42 left doesn't feel like a curse. It feels like a warning. Because that night, I hit the bottom. And sometimes, people finally open their eyes when they reach the bottom. So if you feel stuck today, If you have a paycheck, but don't feel free. If you work hard, but don't feel like you are moving forward. If you earn money but don't know where it goes. Let me leave you with the lessons I took from that night. These aren't magic formulas. They're simply the steps that helped me move forward. First, make an honest start. For 1 month, write down where your money goes. You can't manage what you can't see. That list may make you uncomfortable, but sometimes discomfort is exactly what wakes you up. Second, divide your income. A part for your needs, a part for the future you won't touch, and a small part for enjoyment so you can actually live. Without balance, neither saving nor happiness lasts. Third, start small but don't stop. What matters isn't the amount you set aside. It's repeating the habit every month. Small amounts build discipline, and discipline eventually grows strong enough to carry bigger money. Fourth, don't stay completely dependent on a single source of income. Your time is limited. Try to build something that creates value, even when you're not there. A skill, a product, content, an investment, a system. You put in the effort first. Then, built right, it starts to carry some of the weight for you. Fifth, meet risk with knowledge, not blind fear. Being afraid of losing is normal. But if you run from every opportunity by saying, "What if I fail?" then sometimes the biggest loss has already happened. Understand first, test small, grow by learning. Sixth, think long-term. Live today, but don't spend your tomorrow just to make today feel better. The small step you take today may start working for you a few years from now. And seventh, as you grow your money, grow yourself too. Money that comes without discipline, patience, honesty, and the desire to learn can disappear quickly. But money built on those qualities stands on stronger ground. My story wasn't a lottery story. It was the story of small decisions stacked one on top of another. But let me be clear. This video wasn't meant to give you the entire roadmap to building wealth. It was meant to show you the first step, awareness. Because a person can't choose where to go until they understand where they're stuck. So if you've watched this far, ask yourself one question. Am I only working to get by, or am I consciously building a system to build wealth and become free? Awareness is the first step. But awareness alone isn't enough, because awareness wakes you up. But what builds wealth is the system. So the real question is, what does it actually take to build wealth? Which skills do you need? How do you grow your income? How do you build new income sources without staying tied to a single paycheck? That's exactly what we'll talk about in the next video. The step that comes after awareness. This story doesn't end here. The real journey is just beginning. If you want to keep improving your financial life and move toward building real wealth, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.